Okay, all right. I think we'll begin. So, firstly, good morning, everybody. It's Andy Shepherd speaking here, and thank you very much for taking some time to attend the webinar. For those of you that don't know, my name is Andy Shepherd. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager for Triangle Information Management, and I'm joined by Gary Evans from Avnet, who are our partner from a BSP perspective. Say hi, Gary.
Hi everybody, how are you doing this morning?
So just to let everyone know, today's webinar is being recorded, so you can always go back to that if you feel you've missed anything from today. That available to others who unfortunately couldn't join us this morning. So look, from my perspective, I'm really excited about working with BSP, and really because what I've seen and what really inspires us is putting control of software back into the people's hands who use Cognos every day. So from our perspective, BSP enables us to do that. So I know that some of you have downloaded the free software today, so feel free to play along as we go through. For those of you that haven't, you'll still be entitled to do that after the webinar, and we can follow up with you if you've got any questions around that in terms of how you actually get access to the software. Today's session, we want to try and be as interactive as possible. So what we're going to do is spend the first just 15 minutes really giving you a sense of the integration of BSP and how that helps really with a lot of the processes that are involved with managing a Cognos estate, and Gary's going to be stepping us through that. In terms of how we're going to manage the questions, as we go through, feel free to put questions in the right-hand side under the questions drop-down that you can see there, and we're going to leave 15 minutes at the end to cover those questions down. If we run over that, if the session is going really well, then we've created some time for that, but we certainly wouldn't expect to go much beyond 45 minutes. So that's it from me. I don't think there's much more I need to do. So Gary, it's over to you really for some introductions and to get into the technology.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Andy. And again, welcome to everybody who's joined us this morning. So to give you an idea of what MetaManager is about and where MetaManagers come from, it's a product now that's around 10 years old, and it was really born out of the issues that consultants who were working for BSP software had at the time with regards to the work that they were doing with clients' environments. So really the day-to-day issues that you guys may come across, and basically they looked at how they could create a solution to basically ease their time and really to help clients on the basis of being able to deliver projects rather than just delivering maintenance. The idea being is let's get the maintenance done quickly and as efficiently as possible, and let's really get to work on the projects that we need to deliver and the new reporting solutions. So MetaManager is really born out of that, and what MetaManager is a Windows-based client installation for anybody from an administrator, but also down to report authors. So the way that MetaManager is sort of put together, it can really be tailored to fit anybody's needs, whether that be the almost the one-man band who's controlling the whole of a Cognos environment, or it could be for people who've got specific tasks, such as managing security or managing the deployment lifecycle from development to test to production. And the way that we help to do that is, you can see in the top right-hand corner, hopefully, we can actually choose multiple environments that we want to connect to. So I can simply click a connection to actually log on to that environment. And I do that because within my options, I've actually told MetaManager the environments that I want to access. So within my options, once I've installed the software, I'm just providing some details with regards to the gateway and the dispatcher. And if I want to, I can put my stored credentials in there as well. And what some of you may see instantly is the fact that I can log in instantly as two different users under two different namespaces if I want to. So it does mean if you're running with multiple namespaces and you have that issue whereby you want to the environment, but you have problems because you have the two namespaces that you need to cover, we have that covered for you with the backups that we can do. So that's sort of what it looks like on the back end, with regards to the actual software itself, you can see down the left-hand side we have a number of modular groups, and these are really to try and support the business processes that different people will be performing within the business unit. So like I say, we have a number of modules that are purely looking at security. Similarly, we have documentation really covered from anything from the model documentation, which is definitely not the way that Cognos does model documentation, all the way through to being able to document the content store, the size of your content store, and document reports, and also being able to do analysis with regards to, looking at the query items that are being used within reports, and where query items are consistently being used across, many reports, and how you can then potentially look at reducing the number of reports that you have in the environment. So that's what it looks like with regards to the modules and how we access them. And with any of these modules, we can simply click to log in. And what you'll see is it gives us the complete access to the portal tree. So that's anything within public folders. And just to let you know, we totally inherit the Cognos security model. So it's not a case that you can do things in MetaManager that you can't do in Cognos. You can only do things in Cognos if you have that authority or those access rights within Cognos to do that, to be able to do the same things in MetaManager. And you can see from here we actually have a lot of options. So from here, I can actually run a report. So I don't even need to log into Cognos to be able to check a report that I may have just made changes to. I can run it directly from here. And we can look at things around being able to check security inheritance on a report. So we can see in this case, because this is grayed out, my product report is inheriting from the Go Sales and Retailers, which again is inheriting from public folders. So my security is consistent. As well as being able to go anywhere within the public folders area, I can also go into the directory. I can go into my Cognos directory, and I can look at groups that are within the Cognos directory as well. And I can take that one step further and actually look at my users directly and understand where they've actually saved reports directly into their users folder. And it could well be that I'm asked one day to move a report from my, from Amanda's user folder, my folders area, into the public folders area. And I can do that very quickly. I can just do a copy and paste directly to do that. So that's sort of giving you a bit of a flavor with regards to the access that you've got with MetaManager. What I want to do today really is just to walk you through a few scenarios to sort of illustrate how MetaManager can help to support the business processes that you potentially have to do on a day-to-day basis. So what I want to do first is actually go into what we've called the free stuff. One of the modules that we've had for a long time on the free side is our license auditor. So this is going to give you complete access with regards to your licensing position and give you an understanding of why people have been given specific licenses. And not only that, as you can see, we cover the old license model, so from sort of 12-14 months ago now, the pre-July 2014, but also we cover the new IBM Business Analytics model. So we can actually run this audit once, and it will give us the two scenarios with regards to our licenses. So what I'm going to do is just click Run on this environment. And you can see in this case, we go through processing everything from the capabilities then all the way to the users. And we do that through various groups and roles. So what this is telling me that under the new model, I've got a couple of analytics administrators. I can click on there and I can see exactly who those are. And I can see who my analytics users are within this environment. And if I want to check that, I can cross-reference that to say, yeah, I can see my administrators have come across. I can also then look at who those, what's happened to those professional authors and what access they've now been given. And again, I can look at it at an individual level. So I can take Adam as an example and see that he was an advanced business author, and he's now been mapped to being a BI analytics user. And I can see and understand what it is that he's been granted with regards to capabilities. And because of the license that he's got, what other things can he access that are not necessarily licensed through the environment? So things like active reports, being able to use Insight, Cognos Office, those kinds of things. And last but not least, I can go down a bit further and say, well, I really want to understand exactly how that user has been given those different license types. So in this case now I can look at Adam and I can see specifically that he's been given the advanced business user through an old group that was created. That gives him access to other Cognos groups, which eventually give him access to those capabilities. And ultimately, by looking at the highest level of capability, we then allocate him a BI Analytics user license. If this was the case that for Adam, he really shouldn't be an advanced business user, I can simply click on the advanced business user and click to switch into our security editor module. That's taken me straight into the module, and the module is actually found here, so you can see it now highlighted on the left-hand side. So I'll just close that toolbar, because what I can do now is say, well, actually in the case of Adam, I really don't want him to be the old advanced business author. It could well be that I want him to be a professional author. And so in this case, I can simply drag Adam across to be a professional author and then simply delete him from the old user group as well. So very quickly, very easily, I've been able to do an analysis of my licensing position. I've been able to see where we've got an issue and perhaps why Adam isn't being able to actually access certain studios and do certain work. And I can look at that very quickly and easily and make that change. And once I've made that change, what I can also do is even go one step further and say, well, okay, I want to have a look at Adam specifically and see which group memberships he has access to directly. So we can see now he is a professional author. He's also in the North America group, he's in the corporate group and an agency group as well. Now that may not be the end of the groups and roles that he's got access to, because we know that because he's a member of the professional author, it's going to give him access to other groups and other capabilities. So in this case, I can look to find those groups and role memberships by running a quick query. It's again give me that lineage to say, well, he has access because of other group memberships to, groups beyond the 4 that we've got listed here. So we can see this is the complete groups and role memberships that he has, either directly or through other groups and role memberships. Now, if I've done this change on the development environment, it could well be that what I would then want to do is to pass that change through to a production environment. And I can do that very quickly and very easily, simply then by switching into our into our deploy modules. One thing I could have mentioned actually at this point is that you can see across the top with the icons, what we recognize is the fact that you may not want to make any changes before you've done a backup, which is obviously good practice. And we can actually switch to say, well, I want to do a backup automatically of whatever I have on that screen at this point in time. So you can see it would have actually done me a backup of the Advanced Business Authors group and the Professional Authors group before I made this change. So again, you can see with some of the flexibility that we've built in here, whereas with the Cognos export and import, you're very limited to the fact that you've got to do a complete folder or the whole portal tree area. With MetaManager, we can actually back up individual objects from the content store. So that could be just a group, it could be a role, we could be adding reports into here, packages, really as flexible as we want to do. And we can create those backups, and then once we've created a backup, we can very quickly and easily switch to another environment, load that backup using MetaManager again, and then deploy any of those items that we want between environments. But I can show you how we can do that in a moment. But what I will do now is actually switch into our deploy module. And from here, what I can be saying is as well, I've just made this change on one server because we do everything on the development server, but then I want to pass it through to my production environment. So in this case, I can just choose my production environment. I can choose those groups that I've just made changes to. So in this case, the application roles. I can actually take the whole group across, include all the subfolders, and then simply click to deploy. And what that's going to do is it's going to log me onto the production environment, and it's going to deploy that change that I've just made directly to that production environment. So in this case, I've got no need even to do, any kind of a backup or an export. I can actually just bring that change straight across from one environment to another. So that's sort of an idea of how we can look to manage user groups and roles, and how we can then make the changes that we need and deploy those changes. What I want to do now is have a look at how we can make a change to a framework and then physically go through the process of publishing that package and then updating the reports that we want to change. So what I'm going to do now is actually switch into our update group of modules, and in this case choose MetaEditor, because MetaEditor will allow me to make changes to framework managers that have already been developed. So in this case, if I open up my Go Sales and Go Retailers package, we can see in this case I've got various query items in this report that have all been productionalized, all been capitalized. But I have a look at the orders. In this case, we've got some which haven't. So what I can actually do is click here to say that I want to make some changes. And I can actually just highlight the item that I want to change here. Double click through, and in this case, I'm just going to do some capitalization. So change my year, and I'll change my month. What I've also got in this instance is where we've got some descriptions been used, but they've not been passed across a screen tip. So it could well be that I want my report authors to deliver those screen tips to reports. So in this case, I can simply just copy those and then paste them across. And you can see those changes are being highlighted in yellow to say that we're going to make them. So once I've made those basic changes, what I want to do is save the change to the Framework Manager project. And that will just take a moment to go through. So once that save has changed, you can see that it's no longer highlighted in yellow. And now from here I can actually look to publish the package. So I can click the icon across the top to publish this package, and that will take me through. Oh, one thing I'll just show you actually is from here as well, we can have the option obviously to go and do documentation of this package because we have made a change and we might want to keep our documentation up to date. So again, we could load up this Framework Manager model into our model documenter and do that documentation from here as well. So in this case, I can click OK to say that I want to go through and do that publish. And this is using the same mechanism that Cognos would use with regards to publishing the package. It just means that I don't need to go into Framework Manager to make these kinds of bulk changes. And with these kinds of changes as well, just while this is publishing through, if you want to start a data dictionary where you want more information in there, what we can actually look to do is say, well, you can export the query items that you want the business to provide the descriptions for into Excel. We can then copy and paste them straight back into MetaManager from there and then save them straight to the Framework Manager model. So very quick and easy to make those kinds of changes without having to give non-developers or non-administrators access to the Framework Manager model. So once we've made that change, what I now need to do is to understand the impact that we've got on the environment. So I can do that with the report documenter, report validator. And what I'm looking to do is choose the package itself, and I want to find every single report which is related to that package. So I've run the search here, and I'm going to drag and drop that into the main pane. And what you can see is that because we have access to the complete directory structure, including the My Users folders, we've also picked up where users have reports in their folders. So not only are we going to fix, in this case, all the reports that are within the environment with regards to public folders reports, we're also going to fix those users reports. So we're not going to get 20 telephone conversations in the next couple of hours to say that we've got problems. So again, what I can look to do is good practice. I can say, well, I want to create a backup of all these reports before I make a change. So I can click to make that backup. And again, you can see that it's giving me that complete structure with regards to where these reports reside. So we're not restricted at all by choosing single folders. We can basically go anywhere in the directory folder to pick these reports up. And again, it's very quick and easy for me to create that backup file. Given the time that we've got today, I don't want to sort of let you guys sit there watching a backup taking place. So what I'm going to do is actually click to validate these reports. And what you can see is the way that MetaManager validates reports, you can actually tune this for any of the work. So if you've got a really fast connection, you've got a really good Cognos server, you can actually tweak this to run 10 jobs at any one point in time. So if you can imagine, it's doing the work of 10 people instantly, and then it's constantly churning those changes over. So in this case, what we've done is we've done a complete run through with regards to validating and then saving these reports. So again, when we log into Cognos Connection, we're not going to get that message when we go into Report Studio to say this report needs to be validated. We've done that work here. And if we click on any of these reports, we can actually see the issues that we've got. So we've got, for some of them actually, we've got a change from previously where product line and product name doesn't exist. But we've also got some instances where we've actually got a problem with an expression. So in this case, somebody's put an expression in a report for tomorrow when it probably should have been today. So we can loop to make those changes as well. What I want to do is actually say, well, I'm only interested in the reports that I need to make a change to. So I've removed any reports which we don't have a problem with. And what I can do then is actually create a backup for these reports. Again, I can also publish them into a PDF or HTML output. So I can save these various types of outputs. But in this case, what I want to do is actually take these reports and I want to just save them as a favorite. So I'm going to put them into a folder called Triangle because I want to work with these reports now into the Find and Replace module. So when I go into Find and Replace, I can have a look here and I can see the favorite that I've saved. So I've got my favorite called Triangle, which I'll just drag and drop over here. What I can then do is actually say, well, I want to load the Framework Manager model that we've just made that change from. And what this will do is it will load the changes that have been made into this model. So we can see those changes that have been made today with regards to order date and order year. I've got a couple of changes there that have been duplicated, so I'll just take those out. So I'll just run through that again because I think I took the wrong ones out then. So we can see all the changes that have been pulled through. I just want to, actually I'll just load them as they are, that'll be fine. So what I can do simply here is import them, but I don't want to run anything with regards to the package because I've already got the reports that I know I want to work with. So I'm going to simply import them from this position. And what you'll see down here is that it's got all of the various data items. It's got the replace that we want to do as well. So we're going to replace product line, product name, product type, and we're also going to change the order descriptions as well. And what I can actually do is look at these and say, well, okay, I can run this report directly from here. It's going to show me the error, or I can run these in a preview mode. But just quickly, I just want to add those other two changes in as well. So I want to change that tomorrow and change that to today. And in this case, this will be a report expression. So I can run through these now and actually preview these changes. And I can see the reports which are going to be fixed, and in some instances we've got reports that aren't going to be fixed because there may be some other errors with them. But in this case now I can actually preview this report based on the changes that we've just made to it. So again, as I mentioned before, because we're interacting directly with Cognos, I can run this preview mode and I can use Cognos Viewer to actually view this report. Just log on. And I can now see that, I can now see that I've got the correct date in this report. So it's showing me the today date now, and that report will actually work. So in these instances now, what I can actually do is say, well, okay, we think we've got most of the fixes that we want. We've got some other errors here, and we can see some details with it. And if we do have some errors, yeah, so we've got an error with regards to an item revenue 1, which is not going to be fixed. So we can actually look at those reports and actually look to make those changes after we've done this bulk update. So now I can simply run through to click the bulk update, and if I click on one of the reports, we can see that our function here now has been corrected, and that report is now going to work correctly. And again, what I can now do is say, well, okay, I've made these changes. I can take those reports now when I've finished with all of those reports, take them to the backup module and create a backup and restore them to another environment, or I could simply go and deploy those reports again directly to the new environment along with the package as well. So I can do that very quickly to get those reports updated into the production environment. So the last use case I just wanted to go through was to show you some things that we've done around security auditing. And we know that from our interactions with the clients that we have at the moment, auditing seems to be very, very much the flavour of the month at the moment. So what we've looked to do is provide as many different ways as we can to clients to be able to support that audit process. And in this case, what I actually have available is a security snapshot database. I can click onto that database to just check the details of it. So I've got my database information in. And what I should be able to do is actually run an audit against that database now. So I'll click to run this audit. And what it's going to do is do a complete audit of. So that's going to be anywhere from the items that are in the environment all the way through to the groups and roles that are using them. And then obviously, last but not least, the actual users who have access to that, those reports or those folders. So once that audit is complete, I can have a look at that snapshot. I'll just refresh to my database. So this is my audit that I've just run today. So from here, I can actually go through and pick any one of the users that we've got and understand exactly what they have access to. So when I load Barbara's snapshot, again, I can see the group and role memberships that she has. So she's a professional, and that's given her certain memberships within Cognos. And then also she's got memberships of other roles, probably they're in the place for data membership, so that she's got access to certain reports, certain information. If I want to then also include the access rights, I can see those as well. So because she's an author, she's got access rights to the Great Outdoors, Sales and Marketing Cube, Security Auditor, and Public Folders. And then we can drill down further with regards to those access rights. In this case, we can see that she doesn't have any sort of direct membership, so there's no sort of security that's been overwritten in any areas. And we can basically do that for any user. In this case, Alicia's got no access rights to anywhere in the environment, so she's going to be able to log on, but she can't go beyond logging on. If we've got changes that we want to make to a user, again, choosing Barbara as an example, what we can do very quickly and easily is actually be able to select the groups and roles that she has memberships to. And again, we can understand the location of that group and role by looking at the information at the bottom. And we can actually go directly and say, well, we want to look at those groups and role memberships and decide whether we want to make any changes. So in this case, we can see the group that Barbara is a member of, the Professional Studios. Now, it could well be that that's perfectly acceptable. That's the group and role that she should have memberships with. Everything checks out. But then we get the question that comes into to the admin, which says, well, I've got this new user. We've seen Alicia as a user. She doesn't have access rights to anywhere in the environment, to which we then ask, well, what is she supposed to have access to? And the answer will always be, well, she needs the same access rights as Barbara. So then we've got to trawl through and understand in Cognos exactly what those access rights are. What we can actually do again within the secure group is to go into our security replicator and simply choose that user Barbara. So I can select Barbara as being the source account that we're looking at here, and we can check Alicia as being the target account. And in this case, what we want to do is replicate all the access rights that Barbara has, and also replicate all the memberships as well. And we can simply click to update those to get those done. So what you can see down at the bottom, we're downloading all of that access rights information from the environment, so we can understand where Barbara has those access rights. And once we've downloaded those, we'll start to apply those access rights to the relevant groups and roles, and obviously to any reports and folders as well. So just while that's running through, just to give us a couple of seconds, that's really sort of the basis of what we wanted to show you today with regards to some of the key functionality that we've got within MetaManager. At this point, Andy, have we got any questions that have come through?
Yeah, there's just one at the moment, Gary, but we can always leave it open for a minute or two while people put up their questions. And it's really around the, it looks as if the question is based around licensing. So as you switch or as you increase someone's functionality, for example, what's the implications around licensing from a customer point of view? And does MetaManager help you manage that from a licensing perspective?
That's from the licensing of Cognos, Andy, rather than the licensing of MetaManager.
That's exactly right, Gary. Yeah, that's the way I'm reading it.
Yeah, so basically we can, we can do that license audit at any one point in time. And so
Okay.
as we look to make those changes, as I've shown you today, it's very quick and easy to actually run that audit. You can output that audit as well to a text file or to a CSV file so that you've got a snapshot of the audit for your licenses. And then obviously it's very quick and easy to choose a user, be able to understand exactly what they've got access to now. And if you've actually upgraded that user to give them more functionality, it's very quick and very easy then to either take an existing user and replicate that functionality, or replicate or make the change directly to that user as well. And one thing with regards to the MetaManager licensing and how that fits, again, we're as flexible really as IBM Cognos is with regards to the licensing. So you can actually license the tool very much to fit any individual's use. So it's very quick and very easy to do that. One question I've just got showing in, Andy, is with regards to schedules, and can we do anything around schedules? Yeah, we have both in the content documenter. We can definitely look at how we can understand exactly who's using schedules, who those schedules are being emailed out to. But because we've seen that as being sort of quite a key area, we actually have what we called a canned reports within documentation. And from here we can actually do a report which shows us all of the scheduled content within the environment. We can see who that content has been emailed out to. So, we can do that check to make sure we're not emailing stuff out to Hotmail accounts and Gmail accounts. They are specifically for the corporate accounts and nobody else. And it also gives us information with regards to, well, who's owning those schedules, when are those schedules down to run, do we get an issue at 9 o'clock in the morning because we've got 75 people all scheduling their reports to run at the same time. And again, it's very quick and easy to run these. So I can look to drop this out to my local desktop, give it the good old name of test, and then run that documentation. And again, what you're going to see, it's going to go through just the schedules that are in the environment. It's going to look at all the report versions, because obviously they could be running against a schedule as well, and all the jobs that are in the environment. So it's going to give you a complete overview with regards to what's happening there. In this case, I've just put this to go out to PDF. You can see that within many of the modules, we understand that you don't just want to look at this information, you actually then need to do some analysis on it as well. So we do almost all of our documentation out to native Excel as well. So it does mean that you can actually take the native Excel and then do the filtering that you would normally do with regards to that.
Okay, got another question, Gary, and the question is, if I'm running an older version of Cognos, like 7 for example, or version 8, can I still deploy MetaManager and benefit from the full capability?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we get asked that question quite a lot. We do have some 1 or 2 utilities with regards to upgrading from version 7 to version 8, but MetaManager is specifically version 8, version 10 compatible. It will obviously help you if you're having to move from version 7 to version 8, for various reasons. We can definitely help with regards to that migration and being able to, create the security groups that you want. Because obviously one of the big changes would be that in Series 7 you may well be using Access Manager, whereas if you move to Cognos 10 you may then have to switch to Active Directory. We can definitely help with regards to being able to look at the new Active Directory and then look at the Cognos groups and roles as well, and actually we have the ability to do a bulk creation of all the groups and roles that you have in your Access Manager. So simply by taking an export from Access Manager, we can then import that in using, again, our Security Editor module, so that we can replicate exactly what you have within your Access Manager. So if you do want to continue to maintain your own groups and roles, as you have the ability to do with Access Manager, we can definitely assist you in being able to do that.
Okay, good. Excellent, thank you. Well, there aren't any other questions, Gary, at this stage. So I'm conscious that we've already just gone slightly over 45 minutes. So as it feels like we've come to an end from a questions perspective, I guess we'll just wrap up. So thank you, Gary, for a great presentation. Hopefully people that have attended today have got a flavour for the benefits that the MetaManager can bring. So this is the first in a series. We'll be running another webinar around Integrated Control Suite, which is the other part of the BSP capability. We'll probably be doing that in approximately a month to 6 weeks, so look out for the invite on that. For those of you that don't have our details, we'll follow up. Make sure you've got access to the recording if you need it. And just again to say thank you very much for your time. We would appreciate it. So on that note, we'll close the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Bye-bye.